Hey Google, how can I incorporate more power into my roundhouse kick?
Focus on proper technique and leverage your body weight.
Hey Google, give me tips on how to focus and stay alert while studying.
Create distraction-free study space and stay hydrated.
No matter what your goals, get there with the ultimate AI health coach.
Ultimately, leadership is about providing certainty in uncertain times. I wish I was younger. Sometimes I meet founders whose parents are almost my age now, which is where you start feeling even more the need to work harder because you will not be able to match their energy.
I don't know about you, but I'm young.
Ultimately, there are two roles of a founder. Are you solving the hardest problems of the company? And are you taking the toughest judgment calls when the data is limited? Creditworthy is a virtue. So the word cred came from a combination of giving an identification to a group of people to be seen as good citizens and therefore be given the benefit. I don't know if you know, but most Indian languages have no word for efficiency. Even in Hindi, they will use the word efficiency as efficiency only. And I think we need to shape the ambition of the whole country to become more ambitious. We should be able to give 20 examples of what we have built the world uses. Yeah. It should not be something that we have to think, oh, if I ask somebody which innovation that we made the world uses right now, we are buffering right now. It should not be the case. It should be easy to answer for the whole country.
It just happened in background.
My wish for you is that the best payment should be not seen. It just happens in the background and my life continues. Because I can assure you, there's not a single human being who's enjoyed making a payment.
Right. I get that. Welcome to this podcast, NPCI's Innovators Playground, where we interview the best of the minds of the country. And the idea is simply, how do we energize the youth of this country to build for the nation? We are going to spend time today with Kunal Shah, who needs no introduction, and it's going to be fun. It's always great to talk to him, understand how things are going to shape, things are going to change. He's one of the visionaries I've met in my life, and I'm so glad to invite him and discuss with him about the future, the India, and the changes around us. Hi Kunal, welcome to NPCI's Innovators Playground podcast. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, and this is a great initiative that you've started.
So Kunal, I've known you last 13, 14 years now, and this is your, I think, second or third stint as a founder. How are you feeling? When so much is going around, what do you think? What's going to happen? How are we doing? Overall, I'm saying.
Being a founder is almost addictive, Dilip. And you've seen this in the journey of NPCI from whatever started 17 years ago, that where you started to what it's become. There is no end to the excitement we feel for creating new things, right? And every year has been more chaotic than the before, so it's a thing that continues, and the rate of change of the world is increasing more. So I think what I feel is that people respect leaders who bring uncertainty to become certainty, right? So for example, ultimately leadership is about providing certainty in uncertain times, right? It could be for your customers, could be for your investors, could be for your team, could be for your family, any of that, right? Now, the curse of that you have to absorb all the uncertainty, right? How does 20 billion transactions happen on UPI? You're providing uncertainty, but in the background, there are a lot of things that are happening. So I think what is exciting to me is there is so much more to do. And you can see now India is at the cusp of takeoff, right? And we all feel it, right? I wish I was younger. Sometimes I meet founders whose parents are almost my age now, which is where you start feeling even more the need to work harder because you will not be able to match their energy. In
I don't know about you, but I'm young.
That's actually true. I'll give that to you.
No, but I think you said very rightly, right? You don't need a leaders for the good times, right? You can work with managers also, right? In the good times. But specifically, if we just have to deep dive on some of the issues, right? When we look at the technology evolution, right? There is so much action happening on the cross-border related issues, right? The tariffs and other problems, right? And I'm sure it has an impact on you as a founder as well.
Yes.
And you said that there is so much more to do, and that's how you every day you look at a day zero. How do you kind of drive that? Because you are like a chief energy officer of the organization in that sense, right? Your job is to transmit energy.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you in the ups and downs and there's always some bad days, good days, and that's a race going on.
So I think the unfortunate part about being a founder is a very lonely job, right? You have to ensure that all the sad, stressful moments are more private, and you're always kind of giving positivity and optimism to the team because that's what they need to move forward, right? But I think what happens is every such big change brings opportunities. Let's talk about COVID.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The world had gone to a place where nobody knew what can happen, how will things be. We were all watching news and cases and everything, and It's funny, we have almost forgotten what COVID was. But it was a very, very dark time. And that time we took a call of doing IPL sponsorship. Right? And do our ad campaign when there were very few sponsors available to even sponsor anything that time, because what if the match stops? What if something happens to players? All of that, all these risks. And even our board was not very supportive that we are doing an ad campaign in first wave of COVID, right? So the taking these bets and getting it right, that's the real talent and joy. I think ultimately there are two roles of a founder. Are you solving the hardest problems of the company, and are you taking the toughest judgment calls when the data is limited? If you cannot do this again and again, you don't deserve the chair.
Very well said. I still remember your ad, a very unconventional ad, and I think even the organic views were like 30-40 million before you started actually promoting it.
That was again a contrarian view. We worked with people who had never built ads before. We started working on scripts that were harder to understand and easier to understand.
Did you feel that was an edge content in some way?
I mean, all my life has been edge content that way. So I think to be clutter breaking and to be noticed, you have to do something different, because anyways people are busy doing what they're doing.
How do you get the attention in there's so much of an information overload?
Exactly.
How do you seek their
But we
attention?
did something unique, Dilip.
Yeah.
We realized that while our customers are in the between the age group of 30 to 50, the influencers of the house who get people on tech is between the age group of 10 to 20.
Right.
I call them the CTOs of the households. Now, we had to make an ad that sparks a conversation between the 30 to 50-year-old and 10 to 20-year-old, right? Where this person will influence them on tech and make them understand. And this person will be intrigued. Why is this ad doing what it's doing? For example, taking an Anil Kapoor or a Govinda or Madhuri Dixit was...
my favorite has been the Rahul Dravid.
Yeah, perfect. So I think it caused interesting conversations. And what the ad did is it forced conversations. And there were enough brand ambassadors of cred who say, oh, I'll tell you what it is. Smart people do not want to be spoon-fed. So our ads never spoon-fed. Yeah. Smart people want to be left with a little bit of mystery and they want to discover.
The winning has to come.
Exactly. But I think the old ad format was you spoon-feed to the point that just like lay low up. And that's not how smart people want to be seen in their ads.
Fantastic. And now I think it's a great brand now. And how did the cred name came from? I always thought credit, but is there any...
Yeah. Well, so it comes from a vision of the company, and that maybe also give you a view on how are we thinking 5 years from now. See, Dilip, ultimately, a society progresses only way is when everybody demonstrates good behavior. If there's a defaulting behavior, it takes the country backwards, even if it's 5% people defaulting, right? Now, we realized that there is enough penalties for bad behavior that have been introduced. There were not enough incentives for good behavior, right? So we said, what if we created a world where all the people who demonstrate good behavior of paying their bills on time are rewarded or recognized? And once that happens, could we create a platform for brands, let's say financial institutions and merchants to discover these customers, because they are likely to also be creditworthy, more affluent, and so on and so forth. So our idea was very simple. Can we create a parallel world of creditworthy? And the creditworthy word actually means more than credit. Creditworthy is a virtue, right? In as a more younger slang, it's called street cred, right? So the word cred came from a combination of giving an identification to a group of people to be seen as good citizens and therefore be given the benefits.
So it's more like a signaling.
It's a signaling. It's an identity, right? And therefore we never say a cred is a brand. We say a cred is a place where all these people aggregate.
When we look at credit, for example, and I strongly believe the country can only prosper, right, truly, if we are able to support a very responsible credit,
Correct.
right? To the
Absolutely.
to the every citizen of the country, right? In that sense. So whether it's a working capital for a vegetable vendor for a 2 days or 3 days. So I think the whole credit in a step up model, the short, the fast and real time, or I think it has to evolve. What do you think about what is the next phase of your growth is going to come from?
Yeah, I think let's just talk about credit for a second. You cannot be long on a country without being long on credit.
Yeah.
It's never happened in the human history. It is unlikely to repeat again.
Yeah.
Therefore, we have to understand that there are simple principles through which credit works.
Yeah.
Right? A credit works where people take it responsibility both for borrowing and repaying. Right? It is taken as a very serious promise. When we use the word like we are tolerant, we are all of that, it comes at the cost of somebody else. When we were tolerant with 5 people, we had to probably take money from 15 people to
and
compensate for
that's how
that.
the logic in today, the whole story of the segment which are the cost of NPA is recovered from the
Correct. So what I'm saying is that unless we find a way to remove the problematic cohorts consistently, the cost of credit is unlikely to keep coming down. Right?
But Kunal, the way the credit line on UPI, which has been approved by RBI, and I just think that if you are able to start small,
correct,
right? I'm just saying that because many people will not have the.
No, I have a simplest idea. The largest transaction in this country is mobile recharges.
Yeah.
99% of the country is on prepaid connection.
Yeah.
In every developed world, there is no such thing as prepaid. It is mostly postpaid. If we just allowed credit for mobile top-up, and let's say we supported that, build credit scores
or
to that.
a Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, something simple.
Simple.
We do not have to start saying shirt le lo, mobile le lo, advanced. We have to start with basic thing. Imagine 400 million customers.
Electricity.
Yeah. And who's going to default on electricity bill? So I think we need to think, we have to remember one thing, Dilip. Digital payments started taking off before UPI only on utility, not on shopping. Shopping was cash on delivery.
And it's still 40%.
Exactly. So credit is going to follow the exact same path. We cannot skip that path and say, I'm going to get people to buy mobiles and fridge and washing machines first. We have to start with simple stuff. Anything that is otherwise due and impacts your life materially. Who's going to default on the electricity bill? So what I'm saying is, when we are making more and more things prepaid, by the way, I'm hearing that now electricity companies are taking the approach of going more prepaid. We are removing the credit testing behavior by low ticket sizes. So I think we should consider doing that. In terms of growth, I think a person who is in the business of credit, actually credit is the only business where instead of customer is buying product, you are buying the customer. Right? Because it's the only inverse business where you are giving away money.
Yeah.
Right? So it means that you have to be sure that people who are giving you money to give lending further, you are protecting their money.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. You have to take all the risk measures, all of that stuff. But if we have to truly imagine that culture of credit has to change where everybody takes it respectfully, right? For example, in many institutions like bank, you cannot join unless you have a good credit score. In the Western market, you cannot rent an apartment without a good credit score, right? If we made some of these things more normal and mainstream, right? Today, an average person doesn't know what their credit score is or cares about what their credit score is, right? But if you look at Western market, they're obsessed.
But I don't think the countries that are smaller than the cities, they can do much more things much more differently than the country like us.
I'm talking about US, which is 300 million.
Our countries are not in mainstream cities or people like.
I believe that we have to start changing in cohorts. First, we have to get 200 million people to actively use credit every day.
Do you see that? And I think it's a great number to aspire for. Right today, we see daily active of UPI over 200 million. Right, and that's a great base to see whether the 200 million people can actually in next 5 years time using a small credit or whatever it is for a daily.
So Dilip, this is a very important point. When we think about nationwide solutions, we have to think in cohorts. If we want a solution that can only solve billion people's life together, then we are not being wise about it. We have to change the country by cohort by cohort by cohort.
No, it's a
Right?
good learning. Yeah.
And let's say an example. Let's say I try to make an app that will work for only 1 billion people.
Yeah.
May not be an app that appeals to anyone.
You're saying it's an evolution in that sense.
And solve them in slices. Solve them in slices.
Step by step.
And if you make it work for 100, 200 million, if their life changes, the next 200 million is ready.
So of course, I am passionate, and we have discussed this so many times on this whole trade for every Indian is like a great concept, and I'm sure the Prime Minister, government, RBI is also thinking about this in a responsible manner, right? Because we can't create a crisis
Absolutely.
for the country, and that's where monitoring of the economy, monitoring of the people, monitoring of the even the institutions
And use of credit.
right? I'm saying it's very important in this whole process. So are you fairly bullish on how your next steps are? And
Yeah, we are simply thinking about when we are focusing on an audience that is actually credit worthy, we are saying that the credit worthiness spreads in many things. Let's take an example, right? We have noticed that the same customers demonstrate the best behavior on car insurance. So now what we do is we make it easy for car insurance companies to identify these quality customers and potentially drop the rate.
yeah,
Same thing we can do for tomorrow secured loans and so on and so forth. The goal is
I
simpler.
think you're right. I think unless there is a arbitrage,
Correct.
I think more than anything else, I'm just saying you were talking about the behavioral restrictions. I was just thinking that even if the market is able to create the commercial arbitrage, right? That itself will drive the number in a big way, and that arbitrage has to be significant. Let's assume that is a 50 basis point advantage on a.
It will happen because the moment you bring hyper efficiency, right? These cohorts don't want to talk to people, deal with paper, all of that stuff. They are very digitally first. You bring the cost structures down. You bring the way of NPAs in control. You understand them better. Suddenly the life becomes better. They
And
prefer
also
things.
bring the huge efficiency in the whole because finally it's a collection business, right? If you're in today, you look at auto pay, right?
Exactly. And that's the power of this. Like when you get these tools in place, align the thing, technically the world should be hyper efficient.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the hyper efficiency will come when you take in cohort and say this cohort you can give hyper efficiency. Right. So similarly, like for example, let's say life before and after Digi Yatra. Right. Or now the new immigration tool I've been using, you just go through without having to deal with any officer looking at your document, all that. It's achieving the same goal, but at a significantly higher efficiency. And Philip, there is one interesting nuance. There is no country that has become prosperous without becoming obsessed with value of time. Now, this is a big change we have to make as a country. I don't know if you know, but most Indian languages have no word for efficiency. The word efficiency does not exist in most Indian languages. You will see everybody, when they use, even in Hindi, they will use the word efficiency as efficiency only. There's no word. So what I'm saying is that this has to become our culture. This has to become our vocabulary. And otherwise, we cannot expect prosperity.
Yeah.
Prosperity comes when we respect time. We value time. We value efficiency. And not throw people at problems, not throw, chal raha hai, abhi dekhte hain, parson milte hain type situation, right? And that nuance, for example, I'm telling you, even now, when I tell people I'm running 6 minutes late, they laugh. Ki ye kya hota hai 6 minutes late? Aao, kabhi bhi aao. And I'm like, I value my time. You should value your time, right? And I'm telling you, every city of India, you will feel time differently.
Differently, yeah. That I've seen that.
So that's the difference. And you'll see you will see which city is more prosperous by the way time is felt. You will see that pattern.
So, coming back to the credits business, and how do you see next? What's your going to be drive for next 3 years time, or how are you going to make up 2x, 3x?
Yeah. So our view is simple. We find an efficient way to acquire highest quality customers by making their life simpler in terms of managing bills, managing their cars, all of that stuff. On top of that,
you're doing pretty well on that. I see.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So we probably are now the largest bill payment platform in terms of value, at least. And we are now scaling this in different categories. We have also become fairly decent sized platform for cross sell of financial products on our platform. So personal loan, insurance, all of that. We have actually become quite decent in scale on that. So our goal is very simple. Can we make it hyper efficient and solve the problem of the top 30-35 million customers and make it easy for them to live their life and manage their life on our platform? Cross-sell by allowing, let's say, a bank or an NBFC or an insurance company or a brand or a merchant to target these customers, right? And eventually make the whole equation kind of create into a positive flywheel because it's been identified. So think about this as building a new neighborhood in a city where everybody has been curated for every party to benefit from each other.
So it's something like a credit club kind of a model, right? And today you're trying to ensure that they get a lifestyle, they get a support, they get all their transacting needs, the vehicle related support, a variety of things. So you're looking at
Across assets, right?
Across assets.
Yeah. So if you think about their life, there are these. I determine life in two types of transactions. There are boring transactions and there are interesting transactions in life, right?
What is that?
So boring transactions are like paying your bill, recharging your phone, fueling your car, taking care of your challan. All that stuff are boring transactions.
Tell me what is
right?
interesting.
Interesting transactions are having a conversation with someone, planning a vacation, spending time with your family, reading a book, watching a good movie. They are interesting transactions of life. So I think human goal is to reduce time and money on boring transactions and increasing time and money in interesting transactions, right? And at least the top 30-40 million customers care about this a lot.
But what I'm saying is, while you're building the credit club, right, there is a discretionary part of it and there is a non-discretionary part of it. I'm saying both comes in, right, together.
Absolutely. No, so that we have to be completely responsible for all of these aspects. And like I said, boring, interesting, discretionary, non-discretionary are different lenses to the same things.
Same thing, yeah.
What I'm saying is that ultimately people should be able to depend on you to make their life better. If they can do that again and again, there's enough money to be made in all businesses.
How do you see this whole tech usage in credit? I'm sure you monitor it by yourself and you're fairly now.
Yeah, I think the biggest advantage of running a startup is that you can keep bringing the average age down.
Yeah.
Right? That advantage of that is you can actually be significantly ahead on tech. Because if you notice one thing, younger people don't need too much training to become more tech savvy. Right? In fact, if you see, younger people are naturally born into tech and understand tech intuitively. Right? So what we think about is that ultimately purpose of tech is to make you more efficient and achieve more things in a very short period of time, right? And what we think about is AI or not AI or any of these tools. We like to work with people who are impatient, want to get more things done in less amount of time, and a huge tendency to build, right? Because if you just want to exist, then you're unlikely to make a change, right? We have to do something differently. So what we do is we constantly look for people who have this drive and passion. And in terms of doing things differently, we believe that as a company, we are a platform for great talent, right? You create a stage.
Yeah.
And then they will do well, right? Provide an extraordinary stage for great talent and they will perform, right? But the moment, I think we have a slightly paternal instinct that, oh, aisa hona chahiye, aisa karna chahiye, all of that. I think good people don't like that.
But you see the usage of AI and tools fairly.
Yeah.
Is it a part of DNA now? Or?
I have noticed a very interesting pattern. I see us somehow, even in the smartest people, only a small percentage of them are truly adopting them.
But why is that? Is it a hard work issue? Is it a mindset issue?
Yeah. So I feel that when their own work can be automated, let's say I'm a painter and I can see an AI can do a better job on some of these things, you don't want to accept sometimes, and you will always find some nitpicking fault. Arey, ye stroke perfect nahi tha, ye nahi tha, it doesn't feel emotion. And nobody's here to replace it. Why can't you use it to make your art better, your code better, right? Or why can't you use it to audit your code, right? For example, one of the things I started doing is I used to interview people all the time. I made AI audit my interviewing skills.
Yeah. Fantastic.
that is very powerful, right? I'm not saying, oh, AI will interview for me.
Yeah.
That's where people
No,
say,
no,
oh,
I get your point.
yeah,
And actually, that's what's happening back in Valley as well, right? So today, the guys who are able to, who are really bright people and able to use AI, they are able to go to 100x model.
but the mindset is treat it like a tool. The moment you say, oh, AI is gonna do this, don't humanize AI.
Yeah, use it, use it, use it.
It's a tool
use
like
it
any other tool.
Use it ruthlessly.
Correct. But Dilip, back in the day, like if you remember, people will say WhatsApp ne email kar do. But it's more efficient. Just move.
So, can I just make a statement, and maybe I need your help to validate that? So, are we saying that if the top talent of the company starts using AI ruthlessly and unapologetically, I think they have a chance to become a 100x and contribute back to the company
Absolutely.
in a crazy way?
And not just that, India has a unique position. We have the youngest population. We are probably the largest users of AI, right? But not for the productive reasons yet, right? We are using it for, let's say, non-productive reasons right now. I mean, editing images and doing fun is how everything starts. Back in the day when internet came, Dilip, you and I were early users of that.
Yeah.
Oh, we were not doing some scientific research on it, right? We also did a lot of fun on it, right? And then we got serious about what this tool can really do for us, right? Same way, you can actually think about, right? For example, nobody thought about, oh, I'm going to get a smartphone and WhatsApp to come into a company's WhatsApp group. No, they thought about connecting with family. And so the simple users will start the thing. But when the younger people realize that they can do so much more, the question is, are we becoming more ambitious or not? That challenge is a very unique challenge.
The ambition part is also very important in this whole process.
Yeah, because it also has a tendency to, let's say, internet can be used for doing time pass all day long.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dilip, you've been tracking this data. That we are almost close to 37 GB of usage data per month per capita right now in the country.
I think it's just insane.
This is crazy number, which I wonder, like, how are people productive? Because to use that much data,
Yeah.
you have to give a lot of hours to your screen, which means, are we being productive? And do we understand what is being productive? And do we therefore have a higher ambition, right? So my challenge is that every tool comes with pros and cons. You can leverage it the way you want. And I think we need to shape the ambition of the whole country to become more ambitious, right? I think my biggest challenge right now is the average person's ambition is extremely low for the opportunity and the time that they are born.
Yeah.
Imagine they have internet, AI, all the tools, everything, prices crash of smartphone. You can learn anything you want in 24 hours on internet. All of this is available right now. Where is the ambition now?
Yeah. But I think it's, I just feel it must be overwhelming to them as well.
It is. It is true. Dilip, every major change is overwhelming. What do you do with that?
Yeah, but I think I was talking to somebody and it's such a big technology shift, right? People are comparing this whole transformer model and LLMs to the steam.
Yes. Yeah, it's almost like electricity.
Yeah, I think it's just like crazy. And I have somewhere when I was talking to somebody said any big change, any big shift really helps the top talent more than it helps otherwise. And I think that's a little scary as well.
Yeah. So Dilip, first of all, we have to think about one truth of life. There has always been 10% have always done better than the 90% of humans by a huge margin across humanity. Across human history. The need to force equality, right? It should be about increasing the average. Because the 10% who suffer mostly, right, trying to achieve being the super ambitious people. Imagine a scientist, right, who's just like probably dying.
Yeah.
Right? They take the humanity forward, right? They solve the average problem, right? Yeah, they should be getting benefit for taking that effort. But imagining that everything should become equal is not a good thought. We should say, is the average going up? Is the average per capita income going up? Will there be always delta between top 10 and top 90? across human history.
Yeah.
Across human history, it's been the case. So we have to think about life in that exact way. Unless we do not think in that exact way, what we'll end up doing is trying to force people to become equal, and innovation will not happen.
Yeah.
We'll go to other places where innovation is respected, right? So I think the nuance that I'm going for is we have to say, how do we build things that create inclusion? How do we create things that make every single person benefit from it, right? If internet was built only for top 10%, would have not worked out. Who's taking the advantage of it? Top 10%. Same is with AI.
Yeah.
Same is with any other tool.
Any other tool. It's built for all, but top 10. And I think this leads to my next question. I think India is such a big opportunity for us now. Next 22, 25 years, Viksit Bharat in 2047, 2050, we are going to be a developed nation. What do you think we should really focus on? What should we monitor? What the youngsters should do? People, the engineering graduates who are in college or trying to complete their education.
Yeah, that's a two-dimensional question. I think what should the country do and what should youth do? Yeah. So first is there is no developed nation without an extraordinary healthy female participation of labor.
Yeah. And you have spoken it about.
Yeah. So we need to really take this into a very serious metric, and should not be a checkbox metric.
It should be.
We should be able to demonstrate. For example, today 95% of all loans are taken by men, even till date.
Yeah.
Right. 95% of all wealth is concentrated right now in mutual fund stocks in one gender. Right. We have to change that actively. That's when we'll become a developed nation, number one. Number two is innovation should be our core DNA. We should be able to give 20 examples of what we have built the world uses.
Yeah.
It should not be something that we have to think, if I ask somebody which innovation that we made the world uses right now, we are buffering right now. It should not be the case.
Yeah.
It should be easy to answer for the whole country. Right? The third thing that we have to think about is that really go into efficiency of time and value of time. Unless these three things happen, I don't think we are going to get to a mindset of being a developed nation.
Yeah.
We may have lots of tailwind factors, but they will fizzle out unless these core things work out. In terms of what the youth should be doing, I think first is they have to truly respect the privilege of the time they are born in.
Yeah.
They couldn't have been in a more luckier time to be born in, right? Yes, it's overwhelming, but I think they need to worry more about substance than status. I have seen them getting obsessed with
the likes,
being likes of the 1,000 followers they have,
yeah.
right? To me, that is coming at the cost of substance.
Something you're paying price for something. Because if your attention is there, it's something somewhere else you're missing.
You see, what happens is when we start thinking about how to please the 1,000 people you don't care about, eventually your life gets shaped for that.
Yeah.
Right? But unless you have substance is skill, ability to solve hard problems, people who will rely on you, right? If you are that person.
The size of the impact you're making.
Exactly. Unless you're thinking about that, unlikely your life is going to materially change, right? Second is,
because there are no flukes, there are no, the luck only.
Yeah. By the way, we often think about luck. Luck can get you to a place, but it's unlikely to keep you at that place.
Yeah. Even if you might get it there, but
let's say you're playing poker, you might get lucky with one hand, but you're unlikely to take the money home.
Yeah.
If you know there's a skill behind that, right? So I believe that part of operating. Other thing is that generally be obsessing about the journeys of successful people versus the end state of successful people. I see a new obsession about celebrating the end state of everyone, right? Oh, Elon Musk, this, that. Please read on the journey of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Read up on the journey of every successful entrepreneur of the country. And I believe that I wish that our content changes. Like we have made content for every mafia, every scamster, movies, content, but there are very few content for risk takers of the country, right? And I think last one is core risk taking.
Yeah.
Unless we understand the concept of risk taking. By the way, risk taking doesn't mean that you have to become an entrepreneur. Risk taking is taking risks with yourself, your career, being more ambitious, demanding more.
And there is so much to build for India. I'm saying we are just living, and we needed everything as of yesterday.
Every single thing has to be still made.
Still made, yeah.
Good news is the younger crowd is traveling abroad now, which we did not travel till we were much older, right? They are able to see the difference of what is much better. They should aspire to make that happen in our country. It's the easy escape to, oh, I'll move out. That's an easy escape, right? What if you made this country
But can I
change?
tell you one thing? The move out is actually an escape in my own assessment, at least now,
Yes.
right? Because India, you should always, you spoke about, and I just want to summarize what you spoke about. You spoke about focus on substance, you focus on risk taking, and what else?
No, I'm talking about risk taking, learning, compounding, not focusing on status, all of that.
Yeah. So I think one yardstick which youngsters should think about next 25 years, where the opportunities are going to be. Whether the opportunities are going to be in India or they are in Europe or US, I think anybody can answer this, right? Anybody can answer this.
No, I think, Dilip, this comes from having an academic mindset to understand things.
Yeah.
Okay, where is the growth rate? Where is the opportunity? Where is the rate of change high?
Yeah, it's actually no brainer. But again, that weak moments you're going to think about an easy life or a little bit more money in the starting point. That is, you're going to take.
And Dilip, we have to do enough to make sure that they understand this stuff, right? Today they're influenced through, I don't know, more short videos here and there, right? They're not having enough real conversations with real people. And I think that is shaping those mindsets right now, right? Because I feel that most of the youth is being internet is their parent.
Yeah.
Their mentors are digital, right? And they're talking to Chat GPT more about every problem of life versus real human beings, right? So I think we have to understand that there are certain things that you have to change.
No, and you rightly said, right? Naval says the top 3 things in the life, right? First is where do you live, and second is what you do, right? So I think if these are top 3 and how much time the youth is spending to actually take this decision, right? It's very important to notice and observe.
Yeah, but I do believe that we have to go back to basics and say, are we doing enough to making them more ambitious?
Yeah, actually, you spoke about that. Being more ambitious, substance, ambitious,
then
and risk-taking,
they will figure out how to build more ambitious. Are we talking about being more ambitious? Are we telling them to say, you should be a millionaire?
Yeah.
Like, you should not aspire to just survive and do this job. Like,
and actually, the ambition can be on both sides, right? I'm again driving the point that one is you create something big, or you make enough money, right? It should be either of them. If you're not doing both,
I think the key point is scale.
Yeah, correct.
If you do not make people imagine what scale should be, right? How many people truly appreciate the scale of UPI? No, I'm envious of your job, like to be able to be making this impact for the country and in such a big manner. And I think therefore you see a lot of us support NPCI and wish for it to be successful, because as a citizen of the country, this is transformational.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think impact comes when you have wild ambition. Dilip, when I met you in the early days of UPI, you kept talking about 1 billion transactions a day. As much as it is a ridiculous thing to say, that drive is what causes the energy.
I moved to 100 billion a month now. And actually, I'm telling you, it's possible. It's quite possible.
I'm not denying that one bit.
It is quite possible. And I think country must aspire. If anything less than that, will be a short.
I'm pretty certain it will happen, because we have reached a critical point where I think life cannot operate without this. And I think as more use cases, as more thinking comes into this, and
actually you made a point, and I'm thinking about it. You said that UPI has solved all the boring cases now. I think we NPCI needs to focus on all the interesting stuff.
Everything. See, ultimately,
and I can assure you, some of them you'll see it in the Global FinTech Festival.
I'm excited to see it. As always, the demos are always exciting. But I think the key aspect is if we have to imagine a world, we have to say ultimately wealth happens when two things are done.
Yeah.
You identify what is the motivation and you make it efficient to deliver the motivation. When you combine this again and again, you can keep creating impact or wealth.
No, I think the for the youngsters, and I think impact or wealth or both together. I think this should be one single question asking them.
The key ingredient for impact and wealth is combining motivation
Motivation
and efficiency. Only when you do both, for example, you can make something efficient that nobody cares about.
nobody cares about. Yeah.
Neither you will have impact or wealth.
Right.
In fact, you will destroy wealth. Right? 90% of startups are that. Nobody wanted this problem solved. आपने उसका बढ़िया solution बना दिया. Nobody cares about it, right? But let's say you combine the highest motivation and make it highly efficient. You will make impact and wealth all the time.
No, fantastic. Kunal, how do you see the future now? And we want to just recreate the future for 5 years or 10 years down the line. What are the things you think? I have some view of future, and maybe we can discuss this after you. While this interview, I have spoken a lot, by the way.
No, I would love to get your view on this because you see a very different vantage point and you've seen the country change for now decades. So my view is that the rate of change is accelerating. We underestimate the amount of change we are going through in a very short period of time, right? Smartphones are not too long ago. Internet is not too long ago. And now
Yesterday we heard that the Google CEO announced the 500 million model running on a phone, every phone.
correct. Now these are things that are happening in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Which also means that we will have to get used to rapid change and adaptation, right? I believe that the set of people who will do well, who love change.
Will love change.
This is a very interesting point. Most people hate change. But unless the cohort that loves change grows, we're unlikely to have a good time.
Yeah.
Number two is what's going to happen is that many things that were impossible are going to become possible very easily now, right? And there are very few periods in human history where these windows open up, where suddenly everything that was impossible. For example, I'm sure when steam came, a lot of things were impossible
Impossible.
were suddenly possible.
Possible, yeah.
And suddenly we're going to go through this wave, which means it changes the humanity's course completely. I do believe that the world is way too overwhelming. I think there's going to be impact on birth rate. When the world is absolutely hard to predict all of that, it's very hard to commit to, let's say, raising a family, all of that. So you're seeing an impact across nations where you will see the birth rate is getting impacted, right? In fact, you will see that there's a direct correlation to, let's say, the higher the average IQ of the country, the higher the birth rate tanking, right? So there's a correlation that is going
on
further,
that. Yeah.
right?
And there are examples like South Korea and
Yeah, there are many examples, many examples. So we are going to go through this interesting time where there is superhumanness coming while the birth rate is tanking, which means there is a divide in like humanity in a very different way altogether, right? We are lifting the average technology. For example, the cost of energy, right, is on a decline that we cannot imagine. Now, that was one of the biggest currencies that stopped a lot of progress, right? That energy cost, right? Now,
and
with
it's
solar,
it's going to be so important for the AI era, right? Because AI is all whole compute and energy
Dilip,
game.
imagine for the first time, the smartest brain are working on electricity problem right now.
Yeah, correct.
When was the last time it happened? Maybe 100 years ago, right?
You're right.
Which means, like, if you look at the solar cost, it has dropped by maybe 30x in the last few decades or whatever, and is likely to drop further.
Yeah.
But coming to the core innovation, I think we have to imagine many more things. We've spoken about the power of tokenization.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that, and we'll go to the tokenization, and you spoke about the innovation. You see, the 2 days back I saw, we are moving towards the right thing on. So, for example, in the world of AI, if the energy and compute is going to be the core strengths, which or the IP in that sense. Today you saw that we have started the chip manufacturing. We saw the first set of new chips coming out, and I think it's getting there. I think being in India, it always feels us that we are late, but somewhere, I think the change is happening, and and the change will accelerate in my assessment. It just needs that inflection point as you spoke about.
Yeah. I think we when we get clear on what are the fewer things, Dilip, we talked about focus earlier before starting this podcast, right? Honestly, if I had to tell you, Dilip, what will it take from 20 billion transactions to 100 billion transactions? You may have a list of 500 items, but ultimately it'll be five things
Yeah, of course.
that will drive everything. If you look at, if somebody asks me how the country becomes prosperous, go to any country's history became prosperous. It's only 5 to 6 things that are done again and again and again.
Just relentless focus on.
So what I'm saying is that the playbooks exist, right? We are not the first country trying to be prosperous, right? We were prosperous. Other countries became more prosperous through a different playbook. All we have to do is do that same thing. And I think the moment we operate with this mindset, operate with clarity, we give clear signal to everyone that what will cause progress.
No, fantastic. And you spoke about tokenization and you want to speak about.
Yeah. So Dilip, we've spoken about something that obviously NPCI could make a big change is today, look at so many assets that we have right now, let's say real estate or gold or FD or many of these assets, all of that. Today, unsecured lending is big, but what if you could leverage any of these assets that you have, right? And what if it was hyper efficient? Today, if you have to do a loan against property, it feels like a massive thing to do, right? Or let's say a loan against jewelry or loan against any asset that you have. What if that was magically easy and seamless? And India has shown through UPI that you can.
And when you compare that with US, right? US has been able to monetize their asset dramatically at a very high leverage compared to what we have done.
Exactly. And I think we can leapfrog that completely, because the moment you take credit to become unsecured to secured, the cost drops, the reliability of the system thing, the banks become more resilient, and suddenly what ends up happening is that we have all these assets being leveraged to fuel the growth further, right? Today, a lot of our assets are not being leveraged. Today, my belief is that today...
And tokenization is a right solution for that.
Exactly. So, and I think we have the right people, right infrastructure, right thinking and right intent to make some of these things happen. Because the moment that asset class or those asset classes get unlocked, we are looking at a completely different world.
Actually, it has to be real assets which actually means to people, which people possess, which people have.
And become super efficient.
No, and I think getting them on a chain is simple. I'm saying you can lock, you can have visibility, you can verifiability.
Adoption will be like this, because the moment you say, oh, you have access, you have created value, right?
But I think along with RBI, I somewhere feel the most of the assets are dealt by the large financial institutions, banks. I think along with the regulators, also the large institutions has to take a little bit of a leap forward. Today when the UPI started, right? While of course it's the government, RBI, but some of the large banks really backed it up in the initial period, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have got that validation, right? Today that validation, the conviction which NPCI had to build. Of course, from a vision perspective, Nandan was always there. But, some of the large banks backed it right from day zero. And that gave us a lot of confidence. So, I think the banks might want to really review this asset tokenization part.
I think it will happen because everybody wants growth. And we have to find, there are very few things that cause large amount of growth.
No, I somewhere call this as DeFi, right? The Western world called it decentralized finance. I call it digital finance. I think now that CBDC, both wholesale and retail, is in well shape, I think there is no better time than looking at asset tokenization.
Yeah, but I think the moment we think about everything that should be done and inefficient, the moment we obsess about making that efficient, we will make the biggest change, right? Like, loan against property is not invented by us. It existed from the time immemorial right now.
Yeah.
But it has been so inefficient.
Yeah.
Right? Even today, taking a fresh home loan is not very efficient. Right? And I think we will think about every single thing, removing friction from everywhere.
And technically everything can be tokenized.
Exactly.
Everything can be tokenized. Technically, if it's a living will, everything can be tokenized.
The most crazy use case is, imagine you can tokenize human and their income for the future, and you could actually invest in humans also.
Yeah.
If you take a absolutely crazy
further,
thought.
yeah. No, anything which is real, which you can feel,
Exactly.
can be tokenized.
Exactly.
And one more thing I think, Kunal, is I'm absolutely passionate about is credit. The credit, because now, and I'll tell you why I'm so passionate now. Because the UPIization of the country has almost, we are almost there, right? And of course, we need money to grow and get it to every Indian. But I can surely say that one third or close to half a country is almost there on the digitalization aspect of it from a finance perspective. I think it's a great story for credit now.
Yes.
Whether it's a sachetized, whether it's a small, whether it's whatever shape and form, right? It can start taking that form. And as we go to Viksit Bharat in 2047, and I think this credit to every Indian, right, is going to play a big role in that whole journey, right? Without that, I don't know how it's going to
Philip,
really.
I would make one more statement. Imagining when there's a beautiful infrastructure in UPI made, trying to make credit happen through other roads may not be as wise, in my view, right? The plumbing is already in place between banks, between consumers, between merchants, between brands. Credit is just a new type of fuel that needs to move through the same pipelines, right? And if we can somehow just focus and take a goal, right, and say, if this is the single input metric that we're going to drive, even if it means with small credits.
Small, I'm a big believer of small, right? Because otherwise it'll become a very risky, right? And I'm just saying,
one random recommendation, like we give DBT anyways. What if DBT came in a form of credit, where you are given access to credit and you take the risk sometimes, but suddenly what happens is that when you're able to get more people to be given the support to take credit for the first time. See, early days, all of us.
But I liked your idea, the small. You actually contextualize this, right? You said electricity, gas connection, mobile recharge. So it's very contextual and very.
My simple view is, payments did not take off through shopping. Payments took off in this country, and till date, majority of the transactions are utility. You cannot short circuit that path. Credit has to 100% go down the same path. We are trying to make it happen.
Then only it can go to the masses.
Exactly.
There is no other way.
I'm saying furniture, le lo, ye lo.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
get that.
every Indian's problem. Every Indian's problem is their LPG's connection, their electricity connection, their fuel for their scooter, creating mobile recharge,
So
their data.
I jokingly say, when we believe there is so much to do, right? Technically, more than us regulator, it's more job for the regulator and government to think through and make, because it's a very, very tricky path, right? I'm saying the job for them is more harder than us.
It is true, but Dilip, if we can take risks sometimes and make one of these things work, because the good news is, let's say we suddenly, focus only on telecom right now and convince the telecom department and telecom companies to participate in this creation of credit for every Indian, and make only one goal: convert every prepaid connection to a postpaid connection through a credit bureau approved credit.
Yeah.
We will change the country. So I think we have to just take simplistic steps that can have large range impact. But if we are going to say, oh, we have to power it for merchant and buying curtains and all that stuff, that's not India scale impact. That cohort already is buying stuff through credit. To make it work for every Indian, right, you have to go to basic stuff, the transaction that they depend on, repeat, and are small in nature. And then you will see the impact, right? Because once you start leveraging credit, you will repay, start auto pay. Very simple. Start recharge, give a credit, do an auto pay mandate. Very powerful.
I also think, Kunal, that the contextual payments has a big story. We have not even touched the surface. We started some part of it with the with a UPI circle or a delegated payments, and variety of things can come in there. The EMI QRs.
Correct.
I think this whole contextual payments is going to be also very big thing, and I strongly believe this whole LLM story can complement big time, because there is no better tool than really meaningfully derive the context are the LLMs, right? So the payments with the context and with the aid from LLM as a tool
Yeah.
can be a crazy story
So
also.
Dilip, I would put context on the contextual payment as the following. Ultimately, we have to understand people don't enjoy doing payments.
No, I remember you said boring versus the interesting part.
In an ideal world.
And actually, I'm driving towards that interesting part, because that's where the context comes in.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the payment is the less important step of that. The ideal world should be, for example, let's say we go to, let's say, for a conference in Bangalore and we're staying in a hotel. Like, we sign our room everywhere. We're enjoying the restaurant. We are enjoying the meal over there. We sign our room everywhere. Nobody's enjoying, going to make a payment, right?
Yeah.
So the true context of life to me should be that we should be focusing on how do we enhance the experience of life and make payments disappear.
It just happen in background.
My wish for you is that the best payment should be not seen. It just happens in the background and my life continues, because I can assure you there's not a single human being who's enjoyed making a payment.
I get that. Kunal, some fun time, rapid fire. If you have a month off, what will you do? Can you spend a month off, by the way?
Thankfully I have it practiced that between my two companies. I get obsessed with learning and reading and watching content. So I would want to just binge on things that I have not been able to do. But it's very hard to take a month off.
Month off, yeah. I think we must try sometime at least. Most underrated skill for the startup founders today?
Wow, that's a tough question. Leading.
Really?
It is one of those unusual things that you can be competent, but a lot of smart people fail because they don't know how to lead, and their ability to lead in uncertainty.
Leading in uncertain times. Yeah. The book that reshaped your mind.
It's hard to point out books, but I do believe that most people should not try to ask for book recommendations. We will otherwise become all the same people.
Yeah.
I think books are these interesting places where you can find your own path, and every book's purpose is only one thing: to make your brain porous for the next book.
Yeah.
But if you try to take somebody else's book, let's say you're taking book recommendation of somebody who's spent 30 years building businesses successfully, your brain is not ready for the book that they are reading. So my suggestion is that you should be following your curiosity and only have one principle. Have a deep need to understand why do things happen and the way they happen, right? And now even books are not needed. You can be doing chat GPT 30 times a day. You are probably better than reading a book.
Reading a book. Outstanding. So, but I still recommend youngsters, please read. It will help a lot. One social norm that you are ready to change or challenge
Oh,
in the context of India.
default respect for elders.
Default respect for elders.
Respect should be earned and not be given as default.
So I talking about this whole sir, madam.
Yeah, we are a very power distance culture. Yeah, seniority means respect. Should not be the case.
Thank you so much, Kunal. It has been a great learning time for me as well. And I'll have to write down what you all spoke and at least practice in my own life. But thank you so much. You have been always the source of wisdom. So thank you so much for joining NPCI's Innovators Playground podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for watching Innovators Playground. Please do let us know in the comment section if you have any questions, any suggestions. And once again, thank you so much for watching this.
Gillette, the best a man can get.
The best is a beard look. Nope. Smooth look. मेरे Gillette Fusion 5 के 5 blades दे perfect shave. और मेरा styling back blade दे perfect shape. Gillette Fusion 5, one razor for a perfect shave and perfect shape.
हेलो, myself सोनू।
myself बिल्लू की GF और वो ला रहे हैं हमारे लिए बेस्ट वाला।
ट्राई तो कीजिए, यूपी स्पेशल है।
धोखेबाज! कुरकुरे की जगह तुम हमें कुछ भी खिला रहे थे।
समझे बिल्लू? नया कुरकुरे है यूपी का नंबर 1 टेस्ट।
So delicious and so hot, you just can't stop. Try the new Maggi Spicy.
Beats बनाने के लिए right hand से fabric
Do it yourself investors के लिए, ready-made portfolio investors के लिए, Angel One for everyone. 3 crore Indians की तरह आप भी शुरू कीजिए.
Angel One for everyone.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.